It's so late in the month, but yes, I was scheduling this for an update. And, I have been moving through some things, and I felt it was almost like absolutely necessary to, regardless of circumstances in life, come live to give you guys a little bit of context, love, and support because we are moving through some transitions. And, having context and having a friend to talk to, having someone directly understand, I think sometimes is really important. Now, we are actually giving away a free PDF guide via the website. I have already pre recorded one. My intention was to get this in a very formatted manner, to bring it to you, to actually have the slides up on. So some of the slides are from the actual Yildiz Readings 5D website. And if you want to get that as well as an article breakdown, you can get it free of charge. You basically go through to the website and it's going to offer you a free monthly, basically a video and a blog. And you'll have your own subscription portal in there, which is free. You just go to the subscription page. You add that and then you're able to sign up, log in, download the app, and you're in. And so you'll have your own portal and you'll have your own landing space to receive these free PDF guides. Now, additionally, with these being given as a PDF guide, these are also going to be in an extended format given by our actual subscription network, the Sage Inner Circle network. So although it's taken a little bit of time through all these planets and ingresses, etc., I have been building them in the background and really looking at what space and role I can be taking in aiding you guys and moving forward to give you the information and resources to be able to navigate through this. And I think sometimes what we directly are needing is a sense of context so we don't feel we're going crazy and we feel we aren't going right instead of left. We understand the forecast energetically and how to best navigate it, how it can directly be impacting our bodies, how it can directly be affecting particular areas in our life. The beautiful bonus of the website and the membership is a lot of times we want to actually try before we buy. And I think with this, I'll chuck me on screen. So, a lot of the context is we want to know who we're connecting to. We want to have that connection to individuals. That's the reason we actually want, the person's face actually in the videos. We don't want to not know whether it's edited or whether it's an authentic individual. So really trying to restructure those areas and bring those things to you. Also from a manageability kind of way of how I can actually, spread myself in the correct areas, offering the correct content, and really building it. I can say because I do actually look at the astrology. I'm a psychic medium as well, soul coach. This year, my intention is to bring that expertise to the platforms so that I can offer you guys those experiences to actually aid in you actually navigating through. A lot of common things I have been dealing with over the last 10 years, especially in social media, and it has been guiding individuals in particular areas. And we are really moving into an accelerated ascension path at this point in time, especially with the context of where the planets are. I'll just grab the chat and chuck it up, even though it is going to be off to the side there. So a big warm welcome to everyone. It has been very crazy. Part of the updates I have been actually offering the members and also via the website. So if you haven't visited the website, go through. I have been editing it for months. It's driving me crazy. We are going to have some forward momentum. A lot of you guys can be feeling as though penny little, the sky's falling down, everything's going wrong. It is currently, as we speak, we are in that eclipse portal. We have all the to-dos and not to-dos. And I think what we need to understand with the context of the Aquarius energy is it's setting a tone. And I think what we need to understand, which is the reference point I was trying to send audio tracks through to the members today, especially after, we sort of had the ingress of Saturn into Aries, which I actually do believe that for us at an individual level is going to aid in us actually going, no, darn or not, I'm actually going to get these things done in my life. I actually need to. I do believe we moved into 2026 with a huge exhaustion, with a belief that something had to give, with a feeling that we needed to be the most authentic version. And, when I have looked back of how those ingresses last year played out to how they are now playing out and how I directly am responding at a personal level, I kind of use myself as a guinea pig so that when I'm breaking down those formulas and understanding, 9 times out of 10, some of the most constructive content I feel that I offer is once I've digested the information. The bonus is because I am an Australian, 9 times out of 10, I'm directly going through a transit well and truly before you guys. So the added advantage for those of you that are everywhere else around the world is I go through that in assimilation. I unpack, digest the grueling energy of it, and then move through the other side, hopefully away from the ego. I can sit with it and then go, wow, okay, what did I actually learn from that experience? And look, I truly do believe the basis of, although we have heard, and I didn't want to get on here and be 101 Dalmatians. There are thousands of astrologers on YouTube. This is my perspective and perception because I wear too many hats, which is a good thing. It's the astrology, it's psychic energy, it's the personal life experiences. And I bring them together in a way to unpack and digest them and share them to the collective and to my clients so that you can get the gifts of all those trades, so to speak, Gemini, the jack of all trades, bringing those frequencies in. So one thing, as I mentioned, we have moved into this year. We were fatigued. It felt like Groundhog Day, January. We were moving and using depleted resources. And if you look at the context of resources, it can be your energy, it's your vitality. And it was this feeling like we had to hurry up, we had to get things done, we had to get over that hill. And a lot of people, over the years, we have had this feeling like, setting the tone for the New Year's resolutions. And I mentioned this last year. A lot of you had already done that. A lot of you had already picked up on the signature, but there was some ego involved that you couldn't do X, Y, and Z because of X, Y, and Z. Then as the kind of acceleration of 2 particular planets moving into Aries, it has really nailed that down where it's like, no, this has to be addressed. So it's really pushed that point. It's also, I would say, potentially giving you courage in that domain. So I said this to a person many moons ago. It was having the potty mouth. But this doesn't have to be in a toxic way. It can be where you feel you need to really digest, unpack something, and have a conversation. Have some difficult conversations. Have some courage to address something. Have the confidence to actually stand for something. So it is a very large shift at a collective level. I think if we can hold space and realize that when we are going through these difficult chapters, it's because 2 signatures directly are playing out at the moment. A lot of people I've actually spoken to have felt extremely negative to do with 2026. And it's just in general. And it can be people that really don't know the astrology. They're moving into it and they're kind of looking at life and going, no, actually, I don't believe this is going to be any different. I think what we need to understand is it will 100% be different. Is because some of these planets, excuse me with my freaky hair, I just have too much and it's really quite humid here at the moment. When we have the energy of Pisces, the reason you feel this is because we still are in the North Node in Pisces energy. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2 is when this was the thing that baffled me the most with looking at the 2 nodes. Where Pisces is, what the signature is, the degree point, all to do with endings, which is quite uncommon. Generally speaking, the North Node is something that we're not good at. And it's something we're needing to move towards, to achieve, to become. But usually it's that you're leaving something behind with the South Node and you're moving towards something in the North Node. But this was doing the polar opposite. This was leaving and leaving. So it felt like we were doing everything but losing and getting nothing in a sense of gaining. However, Saturn does reward, okay? Because what it's given you is it's taught you to learn to eliminate certain things. It's taught you to go with the flow in very difficult circumstances, which is called, it's created a backbone, it's created resilience. It moved us into honoring the fact that our body is tired, and when we can't, even if we are trying, we can't, we have a limitation. It has taught us to empathize with other people. Now with the Aries energy, it could be, okay, maybe we went a little bit too far with that. So we are going to have an opportunity, because we are also moving into Mercury will be going retrograde. It's going to be going retrograde in the North Node frequency. So any residue energy we've missed or discarded, or maybe need to bring back and shift around or gain some rewards, we should be effectively during that Mercury retrograde receiving that. So don't necessarily look at the Pisces, the Mercury retrograde, as a bad thing. This can be a good thing. Time to rethink, time to review. Now we have Saturn, Neptune, that they are going to have conjunction. It can signify something that does largely come up. However, it can be an activation point of where action is taken. Look at yourself as a goldfish living in a bowl. So you can have your own individual experience, and then you have the wider energy that is outside the goldfish bowl, which is the globe, the world. So we have worlds upon worlds that are experiencing this vibration. And the way you can tell is by your conversations, it could be watching the news. It might be, and at the moment you might want to step back from that. It could be that you feel that your nervous system, your energy, your stress levels are so intense that that's amplifying that situation. So it can be something as simple as, how could I explain it? As much as you may resist, sometimes our ego affects Mother Nature, and it's like allowing the information, the circumstances, the energies, the pop-offs to occur. Let the dust settle, unpack it. Now, why do I say that? Is if something happens, there's absolutely nothing you can do at that point in time. B, it generally is going to be a new chapter, which technically is a good thing. Now, when you look at the dynamic of Scorpio, for instance, a lot of people that maybe have North Node in Scorpio know this signature all too well. And I actually do have this position. And, initially in my younger years, once I realized I had it, I was like, oh, okay, that kind of does figure. You do understand the natural cycles of life, that there is life, that there is death, and it's like the serpent eating the tail, and it's going in cycles. Sometimes, however, as I mentioned to the members, sometimes an ending can be a very good thing. So it could be, you've been working really hard and you're so tired, and you maybe got a cold coming on, and you just want to get home after your day. And so that ending effectively is a good thing. Us going off certain styles of content or food or the way we dress, the way we show up, it's Pluto in nature, it's Scorpio in nature. So how could those things in really odd ways be showing up? Well, we can look at something that has gone as gone, but it's not, because when we look at compost, for instance, we can look at it as used goods, and it's effectively broken down. We can't eat it. It's useless. Yet, if you plant a seed in it, you're actually going to get a fine crop. You're going to get a good harvest. So it is the resource attribute of things. It's the creative attribute of things. It's really checking in with yourself and saying, okay, what do I directly resonate with? What do I stand for? Who am I as a person? Where am I showing up as a humanitarian? Where am I showing up with healthy boundaries? And there can be some really polarizing kind of vibrations that we initially do see. You generally do see in the collective people that are empaths, people that are psychic, people that are spiritual and very sensitive. You will be so tuned in, and it could be because you had a PTSD experience. It could be that you had to walk on eggshells, and so you've actually learned that sixth sense, and you have that there. And we have that as a very, as a basis, we have these experiences. If you are that way in nature, what you are going to find is you are going to be trusting your instincts. Now, when you are within your ego, you could be trying to convince people. When you are in your empath energy and you're leading by example, you're addressing things, you're dealing with them, you're holding space for those other individuals, but you could tend to be the way shower. So it could be you're the one who's taking the first steps to take a leap of faith, to go and do things in a different way. And then what you find is, as others are kind of catching up and seeing things differently, they then follow suit as well. So there is this signature of change. Now, one of the things I had also said to the members is, and it's something that obviously those Scorpio placements tend to be quite interested in. It could be subject matters relating to it. Scorpio can be like the tax, the debt, the legacies. It's like eighth house style. It can be to do with morgues. It could be to do with hidden truths, private investigators, psychic energy. One thing that was really on my radar from last year that I was actually looking at was cold cases. And when I do look at the degree point, this is something I have said to the members, and I said just really look out for it in the media. There are going to be a lot of cold cases actually cracked, and I do see that and predict that before the end of the year. Definitely a lot. And these can be decades. These can be like real 100-year situations. These can be really long cycles. So what was hidden, especially during that Mercury retrograde, we could actually have some breakthroughs. We could have some new findings. We could have some revelations. We could have some changes. We also could have some new science coming through with this in modern medicine, herbalism as well. We could have some changes and revolutions and findings with these things. So, if something is feeling like suddenly it's not there, you're going to find, especially with Jupiter going direct, there can be a lot of subjects to do with homes, to do with kids, to do with, the good and bad things, trying to keep yourself on the up and up, but keeping your eye out. And the other thing I do see is a shift that is going to happen. But especially, say you're looking for a job or you're trying to pick your wealth up, you're going to find that momentum is going to come, but you're going to have to be a little bit patient, because we are effectively in the first 3 months of the year really going through an introduction to some of the placements. Jupiter being retrograde can be impacting that, because it kind of drags it back and then it boosts it back up again. So we are going to have these sharp swings, in my belief, connected to potentially even the stock market, what we use our resources on, homes, home availability. Sometimes circumstances can come through due to, I'll give you an example. When we had Saturn in Pisces, in its direct, yes, we did have rain. In its retrograde, we had floods. In its direct, we had eggs, but maybe had less. In its retrograde, there could have been things that came up about it, and again, depleted as it went direct. So you have sort of like the gates closed and a very strict, rigid system in its direct phase. And in its retrograde phase, you have the gates opening. So we do need to be aware of that when we are navigating our Aries placements in our chart. The other thing is, it can, in that retrograde, feel slightly like a Mars retrograde, because it is sitting in a Mars sign. And so we need to be aware of when we can actually achieve the most impact and have the most energy. And I do feel, we're going to be more savvy with our time management. We're going to be more selective about where we're placing our energy, taking that accountability and responsibility, looking after our health, to actually achieve a target. But I firmly believe you've moved into 2026, and I'd love to hear a few of what you guys have been going through, so we can bounce back and forth and have that open conversation. But I definitely feel that opening into the beginning of the year has actually really made people step back and reflect upon what their capacity is. And so it could be your daily routine. It might be, really deciding to go on a health kick and get fit, having more conviction and confidence, maybe being more assertive with individuals and putting your foot down with things, really standing up for yourself. And it can be in a more healthy way, but actually following through. So those of you maybe back in September, October last year, you may have even felt as though, how could I put it? You might have felt more bold. You may have felt as though something had to give, and then you went back a little bit like a snail going back into its shell, or a crab going back into its shell, and, doing the emu, putting your head in the sand and just going, look, this is what it is. And now it's starting to resurrect itself again. So the closer we were getting to Christmas and New Year's, it was kind of being pulled back up again. It's like this wave, this seesaw energy. And now these cycles are actually pushing us into this new paradigm. Now, we are having, with this eclipse right now as I speak, this is a signature of resetting a tone. And I would say look out for the next 2 weeks at least. Now, with eclipses, this is not in the nodal energy of where the North Node is. So what does that mean? We are dealing with part of the past and endings we need to achieve through choice or other. And we also simultaneously can be picking up on vibrations of excitement and transition and unique thoughts that can pop outside the box. So it could be really good if you do actually have a notepad and you write down like these sudden revelations you have. If you don't have that on access, open your phone, send a message in Messenger to yourself, send an email to yourself, send an audio track, because these things, especially with the lunar horse year and it being a number 1 vibration, things are going to come in very quickly. So sometimes that spontaneity, we may act a little bit like the North Node in Pisces, which can be slightly hindering us at the moment. We can be very apprehensive. But at the same time, we've kind of had this imprint signature from that circumstance. So this is the big shift. This is the shift of where things can start to give us a PDF guide of where the next nodal phase is going. Next month, we will have eclipses also. And I'll just quickly, well, the energy I have, I'll show you. I'll pull your chat down. So what do we need to know? Which PDF guide do I have with me? Okay, so Saturn entered Aries on the 14th. We are going to be having the conjunction by the 20th. It's within orb at the moment, and the eclipse is happening as we speak. And it is a ring of fire eclipse. It's at the critical degree points. And this can be, for this week, you can have some breakthroughs. So for some of you, yes, this can be happening early in the wee hours of the morning. For me, some things were actually popping off. I definitely found the night before there were things that were happening where my sleep was very erratic. I have been really going off my food. Certain foods, you might feel that they're really hitting you heavy. The other thing I was referencing to the members is, stay up to date with the Venus retrograde with food. Any recalls, etc. I need you guys this year to be really savvy on that. So mark down in your calendars the dates where we do actually have those retrogrades, and make sure to look at the use by dates. Make sure to maybe have, could be your safety locations, to check for any recalls. They can be linking to, okay, this could be fish on this occasion. It can be meat. We definitely, with that Neptune and Aries, I do believe we can have some signatures to do with that. I will put my predictions on the website or within the membership where they are more case sensitive. Obviously, I'll do everything above board, but really transparently having a chat about that. So if that's something you're really interested in, you can actually kind of sign up, send an interest through on the website. We have a landing page for the new membership network. So we have the eclipse obviously happening. We're moving through that signature. And, we do have a lot of positions at the moment that are really getting us to think about these things. How do you feel about your connections? How do you feel about technology? Where is your nervous energy at? How are your stress levels at? Wanting to really focus on, needing to go with the flow. Why can't I have peace and reciprocity? That energy from the 18th, it can be you really feeling as though you're very foggy, very tired, very vague, very dreamlike, but it's wanting you to have the dream and have the structure. So some of it at times you can feel super optimistic with Saturn and Neptune, and all of a sudden you can have these motions where you're physically feeling as though, okay, am I seeing this clearly? And I think what we need to get is more than likely, as we are moving towards the end of March, we're really going to have this unpacked and digested. That's not to say that the revelations and changes aren't happening prior, but definitely it can be this transition where signatures we sent out, we needed as individuals, is necessary for evolution and change. So we're going through a shift. Mercury already is in that shadow and retrograding by the 26th, and it is going to be retrograde moving into the following month, and then by the end of the month, direct and moving through the shadow phase direct. So, okay, Uranus also went station. So this has been a huge month to unpack. Okay, we had Neptune leaving Pisces. We are not going to see that again. A lot of these signatures are long-standing kind of dances that they've been having together that we will not have again. So, it's sort of, how would I say, it's bittersweet. For some of us, it's been one of those most negative things, and we're just like, give me a different flavor. But there is also that apprehension of what is that going to mean? How is that signature, going to affect me? I can honestly say, in observing some of the transits, reading through the charts, and definitely from a psychic point of view, as well as from the astrology point of view, I do feel it was almost like we had to hold space. We had to get to a place where we were moving through this month so we could unpack and digest it and get the gist of what the signature was coming through the ethers. And then we could really move through that interpretation. If you are feeling as though there is a pushback and there is a push down, the max level for that as a signature is 2 years. So know that that signature will be liberated, but also how it can show up in your individual life is whatever you are wanting to build, whatever you are, called to deal with, look inside your birth chart, go to astroseek.com and type in your date, etc. If you don't particularly know the date, you can leave it at 12 or unknown just to get the base level and then go from there. Yes, you can see an astrologer to do a, what are they called? It's a birth rectifying chart. Don't quote me. With that, though, look to the Aries point and the degree point. Why I'm saying that is because those will be the areas that you are going to be developing, and it could be showing up at that particular area. So, feel free to ask questions. There could be a particular aspect you have in your chart. It could be on the cusp of 2 houses. Feel free to ask away. What else did I have to tell you? Okay. So our astrology was on the 17th. We currently are here now. What do we have? We have the sun in Aquarius at 28 degrees. We have the moon at Aquarius at 28 degrees. Moon generally can depict the collective. It's the people. It's the people energy. Solar are kings and queens. and hierarchical, system, so to speak. Lunar is the people, and it is a moon energy. Mercury also in the house of Pisces, moving into shadow at 16 degrees. Venus also is going to be in this position. Mars currently is in Aquarius. So what would I say about that? Now, okay, what we need to understand with Mars, it's funny because it's my mother's birthday, so happy birthday, Mum. It's coming up. So many things have been happening. I've been unwell. Lots of things have been happening. So, I usually go down and I help her with a house on a Friday. I haven't been able to do that. And her birthday is coming up. And there was one thing we had talked about last year, and it was that we were going to take her to a particular restaurant that we used to go to, when we were children. And it was one of our favorite restaurants. And of course, based on the astrology, I did see certain aspects happening. And I basically said, you're picking a very interesting time to go out in public. And, the Aquarian energy can mean that we are going to be a little bit more confident, but we also do need to realize Mars plays to it's Jekyll and Hyde. Why do I say that? It'll be where your attention is heavily going. It will be this obsessive energy you are moving into, but it can show up in two ways. It can show up as a villain or a hero. So what does Mars do? Mars can protect, or Mars can be the perpetrator. And Aquarius can be underground, water, sky, could be fire in the sky. It could be a community. It could be protests. It might be something more intense. It can be linking to particular countries. But public spaces, group settings, fun parks, water parks, I would just be extra careful around that. And I think, look, you can't stop living. You just need to be, plugged in, aware of your environment, aware of vibrations. It's all one can do. If you have the aspects and you understand how they could show up, sextile, great. Again, it's still Mars. It still shows the yin to the yang. Currently, I can honestly say I am seeing some interesting subjects in the Cancerian energy as Jupiter is gearing up ready to go direct. Now, I think it was on the 11th. These cards keep moving. I'll get the date, but I think it's March. Oh, I did that. It was right there. Monthly astrology. Okay. Let's get the date. Maybe jump through to... So vague, so tired. Okay, so we're well within the energy of shadow. On the 28th of February, we're going to have Mercury conjunct Venus. So definitely something to do with money, values, alliances can be popping off. Look to the water. And what was I looking for? Jupiter direct. Should I call myself a neckhead? So vague. Okay, so we're going to have on the 3rd of March, lunar eclipse in Virgo, and then also, just to make that savvy and great, we are going to have a new moon in Pisces, and it's going to be on the 19th. Now, it will not be an eclipse, so we're having these eclipses kind of polar opposite. We're having a future north node today, and then next month we're having a past south node, and then the moon. So we're retrieving something from the past in both instances and transforming it. And then we have Mercury by the 20th will go station direct. And Jupiter, as of the 11th of March, will go station direct. Okay, so that is that Jupiter energy. Now, what have I seen? And I did mention this to the members. The subject matter I have already been seeing based around Jupiter in Cancer. Now, Jupiter, we do tend to look at as, oh, it's good. It can be several things. And again, this is not financial, legal, or psychological advice. Like I said, cold cases coming through can be around children. Okay, so there was a missing person that was young. A subject that has come up that has been here in Australia. Then we had nurses on strike, midwives, Jupiter, children in Cancer, midwives on strike relating to pay. So, sometimes these can link to a rule, a contract, law, so it can be the basis of it, a religious belief. It could be something to do with that. And again, this is not to do with opinions. This is based on subject matter and how it could particularly show up. So you can already see that energy peaking. You can already see that sway on effect. Jupiter's bringing these things up, and the curve should come up where there can be some momentum again. So keep an eye on things. Any questions? Half a transformation in the past. Yeah. Look, it will never be the same again. I actually said to my husband, I said, I just do not think people quite grasp Pisces at the critical degree. The end of the zodiac sign, moving into the first house, it will not be the same. And that doesn't have to be a bad thing. It's not going to be the same. If you think the whole of this year is going to be the same, you're seriously mistaken. It's like going into a dream and you were in black and white and you pulled a curtain and it's color and you're like, whoa, what's this? What is this? Like, it is literally going to be chalk and cheese. It's different. So what you feel is super heavy and restricting. It's not to say that things won't be restricting. Things are going to move very fast, but you're also going to be more selective about what you do. We have one that disappeared in the 80s at the bus stop. They have had leads. Yeah, so look, with Jupiter being retrograde, it can actually crack some things, especially if it was like a family person. It could be a mother, a child, or a woman, then it could also be based around, because we have the retrogrades, things can be uncovered, it moves direct, and then we can have the outcome card. So Celine Cream, I believe, I have been communicating with one of the YouTubers who was actually searching. I put a few comments on there, but really very interested looking at the charts and actually seeing where these individuals potentially could be found, really picking up just on the missing day chart. That's it. And there was a lot of information really coming through, because sometimes you don't actually directly have that individual's direct time of birth, etc. So the other way I have been observing it is from the day of missing and reporting. So also there has been another individual on a farm, which was a child. Some evidence, obviously, they've found. They're back again, and during this retrograde, they will, in fact, with these cases. So feel free to come back and tell me, what these circumstances were. The other thing is, we can have individuals that are ready to transcend. Pisces is the end of the chart. So again, the person would have to have their birth chart lit up like a Christmas tree in particular areas, but it can be that particular energies that have actually had their calling here in the here and now can actually be transitioning over. This could be by the end of the year, within 12 months. Yeah, and a lot of births. Can the births increase? Yes. We also can have subjects to do with, toys can become extremely valuable, because we will have Jupiter later enter into Leo. So it could be that a big company goes down and suddenly certain toys are expensive. It might be that a fad and a trend comes back. It could be an item that sells for a record price. We could have some more. We're definitely going to have individuals in groups coming through that. I think there was one which I did reference to the members, and I've forgotten the name of them now. They are a group, but haven't done so well. Spread out, and tell me if you know who I'm talking about. Are they called Blackpink? And the group split up, and not so much they split up, they were theoretically still together, but branched out and did their own thing that came back for a tour, but really didn't have any new content. Don't quote me, apart from one song. Now, that's very consistent with the astrology because we have Aquarius, the group, and then we have two planets that have moved into Aries, which is you, the individual. And so we're really reflecting on how do you be the freaky you as well as being a group. And, you know, Aquarius is notorious for feeling misunderstood, that maybe people are pulling the wool over their eyes. Maybe people don't care about them. Maybe, how do I explain it? They are super popular, but feel very alone at times. So we individually are going to feel that initially. We're going to feel like, am I too freaky? Will people receive me? Am I going to be accepted? What is that creative idea? You know, does it really fit in? Do I need to fit in with the crowd? Can I be accepted in the world for being different? My sudden return too. What return is it? How many have you had? Like mine will be coming up, you know. I'm turning the big 50 this year. I'm like, I cannot believe it. My sister is Pisces. I work for Pisces and both going through crap. Yeah, look, Pisces and Virgo, because the nodes are moving through your zodiac sign, you have a reshuffle, right? So it's coming back again. It's coming back up. So just don't be surprised if some things change. But that doesn't mean to say something bad's going to happen to you guys. Okay, sometimes when we're having that transit, we can be like, everything is going wrong. And it's like, trust me what I'm saying, on the other side of it, you guys are going to feel so much lighter and it's going to feel more authentic to who you are. I have had it's sort of like a first and a seventh house. It's your second. Oh, you'll be fine. You'll be like, I'm ready to level up, level up. What house is it in? That's going to count. You know, what house is it in? And your birth chart, that is, not in the astrology. Just so I'm making myself clear. Breakthroughs. It's going to be hard yards. It is going to be hard yards. I do not want to lie to you guys. You are going to have moments of absolute disgust and disgrace. You are going to have moments of going, I really need to do something. You could have other moments where you're going, what planet are we on? Second, yes. So, yeah, mine will be coming up. Not far away. Yeah, in what house in your birth chart? Like, is it your first, your second, your third? Because that part will be interesting. But the funny thing is, we also could have age. Can I say reducing? Rewinding, age rewinding, third house. Oh, Lord. You know, that's where my Chiron is. And Chiron also, when you think about it, based on that Saturn energy, if wellness had been coming up and things like that, Chiron is you could have some super success. So if all of a sudden you were like, you know what, I really need to get fit, I can honestly tell you with those placements, it is a very distinct possibility that can happen for you. So you can actually achieve that. You could be like, all of a sudden, I want to write a book. I want to write about life. I want to write about young and old and new and bold. It can really pour your energy into that domain. Communication style, you can just feel also that your communication is just really maturing and you're like, feeling like you are changing the way you relate, changing the way you communicate. Could be things also to do with teeth, could be like, oh crap, now I've got to get my teeth done, you know. So that moving through my second house, there was a lot of things to do with wellness, to do with finances, to do with teeth and health. It was like, you know, so there was a lot in that with Saturn and Neptune. So again, Saturn can do similar things, but it can do things that are quite positive as well. So in the third house, if there has been conflict with siblings, for instance, you could be taking on a more mature approach about it, or you could be really just putting some boundaries down, and, you know, laying it out. But again, there's hundreds of ways it can actually occur. I would definitely say if emotionally, you find that there are things that are very, very challenging that you're trying to articulate, trying to work out, you know, don't outrule seeking a coach out for moral support. You know, a sudden return can be extremely challenging. So, you know your limit and just go, look, you want success for that, okay? You want to actually have that flow, even if it is just, you know, having a friend to lean on, having somebody to communicate with, or having the awareness of how that can play out so you can actually navigate that the best you can. But, you know, don't feel crazy. Definitely don't overschedule yourself because you will get tired. You know, your routine's going to completely go through a change. So, research clue, what's happening with them? Yeah, look, there can be a huge restructure of employment, but again, there also can be a boost in that area, because it can be like, oh my gosh, you know, it's like, and is Saturn. Saturn's an older person. What's Aries? It's a younger person. There is going to be like a balance of both of these. The only thing I'd be concerned about is, what do they call it? Got the name. It's not recruitment. I'm brain dead at the moment. Enlistment. Yeah, young and old. Any questions? Now, as I mentioned, you know, if you do go through to the website, there is an actual rational blog on there. And it does break it down. I am going to be getting these more structured. And when I say structured, it doesn't mean to say I'm not going to have a joke with you or a conversation, or, you know, bounce back and forward with you guys and talk about these things, but really having the set key points, maybe even going into the zodiac signs, be it it's hair or it's via the membership. These structures are going to become more consistent. But if you do need that as a guide, I do have a written format of it. Plus, the video is available via the website. If you want to go and see it, it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. And by logging in and downloading the app, no expectation. If you ever choose to get a booking or choose to read the blogs free, whatever it be, you actually have your own profile. So you can save it, you can have it on your phone, you can read it on the go. If a sale comes up, which I am going to be reformatting some of them, double check in tomorrow morning. There could actually be a mini sale up, but I am going to be changing the structure. I'm trying to work out how to do it, because there can be a mini way I can go about putting a 6-month paid version where you get an ongoing discount for 6 months. And then if you wanted to opt back again, you could do it again. But leave it with me so I can organise it. And it is, like I said, there's a lot of new services coming. There's going to be webinars, events. There'll be the lives via YouTube. At the moment, I haven't done scheduled super chats because I have been super busy with building everything out, and the transits gospelly have not helped. I have had a lot of emergency bookings. So other than that, building the website, a shop could be coming to YouTube, and it is going to be merch that can be used within the membership site. So it's sort of like a courtesy of, hey, you can go and get this, or you can bring your own. That can be anything down to the meditation and workshops that we're going to have. Due to the fact the energy this year is going to be super intense, we are going to be looking at the holistic approach from your chakras, the astrology, where the transit's going to hit, giving them downloadable PDFs and particular audio tracks to listen to, and the guidance. Sometimes, if we are using gems or aromatics and things like that, we need to know where those transits are. We need to know what the best practices are to actually do those kind of grounding exercises or clearing exercises. And so within the subscription, we will be hosting them during the lunations during the month, and they'll have their workbook. We can do the journal exercises. We'll have that as a kit, and you have an aftercare package as well, which is the best practices to actually do. So that has been something that has been taking up a lot of my time. In building that in the background, as well as I have been off and unwell, so off my feet. And yeah, any questions before I go? So this was scheduled to be pre-recorded, but over the last 3 days, things have been popping up, so I just could not make it to you guys. So this is the fastest way I could just come on here and say to you, things are going to be okay. Okay, try to look at your life at the moment of having a goal, being a bit loose with it, but just walking towards it and knowing that you can pivot and kind of weave through circumstances. When you are getting triggered, try to keep your eye on the goal. The other thing I was really mentioning to the members the other day is when we understand what Aries is an individual. If you are having conflict with people at the moment, it could be, look, it could be with your family, it could be with kids, it might be with work colleagues. Address the person by the name. Gauge the situation. And the thing is, when we do, as people, have people putting us through hoops, this Neptune and Saturn actually moving into position is going to need us to follow through with things. So say you are a telemarketer and you have a customer that's really irate. Best advice I can give you is to actually address them by name and to assure that individual that they are not going to be palmed off to another person. It's the only thing that's going to diffuse it at the moment, I can tell you, so that you can actually honour and acknowledge what the person is frustrated by. It's not your fault, but you are going to actually step in and be the hero and actually resolve that conflict to kind of cut that cord and address it. That is about the only way we really can diffuse these situations during this time. And it's something I've been directly using at the moment when I am actually addressing what Aries is. It's the individual. So honoring a person as a unique individual, respecting them and actually getting that at the moment. Some of our feelings, we're having a lot of people near us also are going through some very challenging times. Love and light, I hope this helped. I hope it's given you some context. Look to where you have Aquarius in your chart. Pay attention to it. And look, you're going to find, if you say, look at it and go, heck, I need to move. I need to do this. I need to do that. Pay attention and start taking steps. If you need coaching or a booking, you can go to the website, and you can also look at our free PDF guide online, which can hopefully be pretty supportive.